Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you're new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
I will be starting with reports and dashboard, will not start with workflow process builder. Let's start with reports and dashboard. That's very easy and straightforward. Topic workflow and process builder. Mainly report is nothing but pictorial representation of data. How many types of report we have? We have a tabular report, we have summary report, we have matrix report, and we have joint report. Tabular report is nothing but like we only add column of data. Like let's say I am creating a data on patient detail object. I'll add some column that I want to see membership, ID status source, but I cannot apply any grouping, cannot group. In the summary, I can add columns and I can add grouping based on rows. Let's say my requirement is I need to see how many patients with active status and how many patients with inactive status I have. I want to divide the data based on grouping, based on status, based on source. I need to make grouping based on source. I go with summary. If I need to add columns and I want grouping based on rows and columns both, that means I need to divide the data based on rows and then based on column. Let's see. I want to see how many active and how many inactive patients I have. Then out of inactive, how many are with each source. Like further, I want to divide them based on column. I'll go with matrix and finally if I join two reports. It can be any report. If I'm joining them, that single report will be termed as joint report, tabular. It's nothing but a plain data. You cannot group summary. You have data. You can group based on rows. Matrix, you have data. You can group based on rows and columns. Both and join the board. We have two reports. We can link any kind of two reports in a single view. Let's see one by one. Let's create different reports. We have patient detail. We have our different objects appointment. Let's try to create different, but before that, let me verify how much data we have on patient detail. And accordingly, I will create a report using this data. We have, let's see how many fields we have. We have data source. Let's create a report. Click on new report. Search for patient detail. Let's add couple of more columns. Let me add source. Let me add status. Let me add membership ID. Let's click on Run. This is nothing but a plain tabular report. I have a table of data. Name is visible, source is visible, status is visible, membership ID is visible. But from this report, I cannot see a proper grouping like how many inactive patients I have, how many active patients I have. Now let's convert this to summary. Now let's convert this into summary report. Click on just 1 minute. Let's make a group based on status and group column based on. I have added row level grouping based on status. Click on Run and now see the difference. I can clearly see that I have one active patient, two inactive patient. Now my row level grouping is added. If you can see, one row is up in the above group. Two rows are in the below group. This type of report is nothing but summary report. We started with tabular. Now I have converted it into summary. Now I am converting it into matrix report. What I do, I add group columns, like currently I have only group rows. Let me add group columns. Search for source. Grant. If you can see here, I have like one active patient, and out of that one has no source and 0 has referral as source. I have two patients where inactive status, one does not have source and one has source as referral. Based on those, then based on columns. On the basis of both, I have grouping. That is how we convert tabular to summary and summary to matrix. Join report is something that we cannot create in Lightning environment. I will showcase that in Classic. We are in a Lightning experience. If I go here and click on Setup, here we have switched to Salesforce Classic. Oh, let me duplicate this. Couple of things we cannot do in Lightning, couple of things we cannot do in Classic, but mostly it's a Lightning interface. That's the latest one we learn. We will be learning in Lightning only, but wherever we feel some limitation is there in Lightning, I'll showcase that in Classic as well. Before we jump to Classic, let's understand some more feature. Here we have something called Save. Let me save this and let's see. Tested December. Let me add this in public reports. This report is created. Now we have couple of options like how I can extract this report, how I can. Let's see one by one different features which are widely used. First one, if you can see, here we have something called subscribe. Subscribe is nothing, but if I want this report on a daily basis, at a particular time, I want this report in my email. I want that. I want this report to be automatically sent to some like people from management or to myself to see how many patients are on daily basis. I can check this frequency. I can add the recipients and that will send the report in the email to the desired recipients. That is the feature called email report subscription. Then we have something called export. If I click on export, I can take an export of this report. In the export, we have two options. One is formatted report. One is detailed report formatted. Will come the way I am seeing the report here. I'll get the exact replica in the detail. I'll only be getting the Excel sheet with the data, no proper color coding. Based on my requirement, I'll go with formatted or detailed. Let's go with formatted report. This is the report that is generated. Let's open this. If you can see here exact replica like entire color coding, everything is fine. If I go with normal detailed report, let's click again. Export detail only export. If you can see here, this is the detailed report. Earlier, the formatting was something else. Now the formatting is something else. That is how we export the report. We subscribe the report. We make different changes in the report. That is how we play around. Like the report, starting from tabular, we can make it summary. We can make it matrix. We can make it joined. That is how we play around different type of report. Here we have the till now, like we were seeing about tabular summary matrix. Now how to create a joint report. If I click on this drop down here, I have option to create joint report. Click on what apply. Click on. Then click on add block. Let's add a block of case. I have one block of patient detail. I'm adding second block of case. And let's click on that. It's not very user-friendly format, I would say, but at the same time very informative. Like I have one block for patient detail, one for case. I can control like which field I need to see for patients. In a single block, I have a view of patients and case in a single view. That is how we add different blocks in a single report. I can control the information that I need to see. I can apply like some grouping, some those old things in. If I need to add a group, like if I need to add, let's add. I can apply some group across the two blocks. I'm adding a grouping across these two blocks. I have added like the based on the owner. I have added like for this particular we have 6 counts. We can play around that. That data sort of informative report, not yet very, I would say, user friendly. But if we need some, there is a requirement where we need two or three types of information in a single block. We can always go with joint report. That is how we create joint report. The most I would say that we use very often are like tabular summary like metrics and joint. And we don't use much. We'll normally go with like either tabular or summary. Until now, like we are working on reports. If there is a requirement, like I need to see some blocks, some, I would say, pie chart, donut chart, that would add some value to the data. That would be a better idea to analyze the data. If I translate that into a sort of pictures, that will become a dashboard. Now I will be translating this report into a dashboard. Search for dashboards, very important feature. New dashboard. Patient detail dashboard. I am creating a dashboard. I need to click this component. Click on the report that I have created and click on Select. Now I have option to make like horizontal bar chart, vertical bar chart, stack go chart. I have metric chart. Let's go with donut chart. It will. It will show me the data in this format. If I go with, let's say, if I go with this horizontal bar chart, if I go with vertical bar chart based on different, I can see different features around. Here we have x-axis, here I have y-axis. Based on that, I can make the changes and I can see my data in different views. Let's go with donut chart. Let me make some changes in my report first, and then that will be just 1 minute. Let me make it summary. Now let me add this and let me add it as say horizontal bar chart or vertical bar chart. It is showing me that I have 1 active and 2 inactive patients. Victoria representation is better. Let me make it say some other. Let's say and based on my requirement, I can add a different, say 9 blocks, 12 components. Here like the same data, but different pictorial view. Based on my requirement, I can keep on adding different components. If I scroll down, I have an option here to have component team currently. I am going with light. If I make it dark, I have this option. Like it will be like. Accordingly, I can decorate my dashboard. I can play around this. That is how we translate the data of report into dashboard. Then we have very important feature or dynamic versus static dashboard. What is that? We have an option to make a dashboard dynamic or static. That means who is viewing that dashboard. They will see the same set or count or data in the dynamic dashboard. Based on the access of data that I have say, there might be a scenario that in our system we have 20 records. Total 20 reports out of them. I have access to 10 reports. I don't have access to entire 20. and you have access to 12 reports. Say you have access to 12 records. I have access to 10 records. But in total, we have 20 records. If I go with dynamic dashboard, when you will see the dashboard, you will see only 12 reports. I will see only 10 records. Based on the user data access, the result will be different. But if I go with static dashboard, everyone will see that 20 records. That is how we make our dashboard static or dynamic. In the static, you will be able to see the entire data set. But in dynamic, you will only see the data which you have access. Click on Edit. From the settings, click on Properties. Here we have option to make it static or dynamic. In the View dashboard, as if you make it as another person. Like you can make it as, say, View dashboard, as if you can select some user here. It will always run under the context of that user. If I am selecting my name, it will always run under my context. Say I have access to 10 records, 15 records, it will run under my context. But if I make it dashboard viewer, it will run under the context of the person who is viewing this dashboard. There might be a possibility that I have access to 10 records. Everyone will see 10 records even if they have access to 20 records. Mostly we keep it as dashboard viewer. But in some special scenarios, if there is a scenario from business team that runs it under the context of a particular user, we make it run under the context of some super user. If I make it as dark, we have different options of team. I can make it light, I can make it dark, and we have an ocean. If you can see, you can play around the color scheme. You can make it as 12 column or 9 column. You can make it dark. What kind of color scheme we need? Let's say I need heat. It will. Accordingly, we can decorate our dashboard, but that dynamic versus static concept was very important. How to make it dynamic? If I select a particular user here, that will be static. If I make it the dashboard viewer, that would be dynamic. That is how we control the visibility. We make it static, we make it dynamic. Now, if I click on Edit here, let me click on Edit once. In our report, we have data. And now comes like whether I can filter. See, I have multiple reports in my dashboard. Can I filter the data directly in my dashboard? Then comes that question many times in interviews. Like let's say I have multiple components in my dashboard and I want to see the data based on some filter. Like in all these three, I have data from patient. Can I filter them at once? Like these, all three should show me the data where the status is active or where source is something. Can I do that? I can apply a filter here and I can directly filter the data based on some field. Let's say I only want to see the source where source is referral. I need to see only that data. I can add a filter. I am adding a filter on my data and accordingly, it will apply the filter across the components. Let me click on Edit. Let's add the component again. In total, I have let's see how many records I have. Let me click on Save. We'll verify the results. I have applied the filter that I want to see the data where the source is referral. If I make it all, it will show different data. If I make it referral, it will show different data. That is how we apply filters across the dashboard. All the components will be filtered. Based on this filter, far we have seen reports, tabular summary metrics joined. Then we have seen subscribe, export, then dashboard, how to create dashboard, color scheme of dashboard, different component types in dashboard, then dynamic and static dashboard. Apply the filter around dashboard. We have seen all those features. And finally, you can download the entire dashboard in this way only. You will have a sort of JPG or PNG sort of image in your system of entire dashboard. You can directly download the dashboard as well. Just go through all these at your end and really straightforward and I would say very easy topic. Just go through that. And it's a sort of like we just have to play around the data. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.